conservatives were too tied up in the presidential election to notice that Kevin McCarthy's leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives, combined with unusually strong turnout for President Trump in key districts, had led to a gain of 15 seats. Before the election, virtually every supposed expert thought Republicans would lose more than a dozen seats. This left Speaker Nancy Pelosi with the narrowest majority since the 106th Congress in 2000. In the U.S. Senate, we fought to a tie. If it had not been for confused, self-defeating, and poorly run efforts by Republicans in Georgia, we would have had a 52-48 majority in the Senate. When it came to controlling governorships, we had gained one and held a 27-23 majority across the nation. Republican-led states were doing far better economically and in health outcomes than the Democrat-run states were. Furthermore, Republican legislatures and governors were pushing back on radical, unpopular programs and making their states more conservative despite Biden's and the National Democrats' best efforts. Among state legislatures, there were 4,009 Republican legislators after the 2020 elections versus 3,317 Democrats. In fact, Republican control of legislative chambers went up to 61 majorities compared with 37 Democrat chambers. Alaska has a unique multi-party sharing system, so it is not counted. With Republicans representing 54.3% of all state legislators, and Democrats representing only 44.93%. It is hard to see why the left-wing media thinks Republicans have electoral problems. Republicans can look to the future confident that their party has a much broader appeal in the country at large. The left's power and influence is restricted to Washington, D.C., New York, and Los Angeles, where media centers prop up their morale with misleading and slanted reporting and analysis. Further, as radical activists grow bolder and more open, their positions become more unpopular. We are already seeing a rejection of critical race theory as more people realize it is primarily divisive. The mayor of Chicago refusing to be interviewed by white reporters is so blatantly racist. It is starting to reshape the entire national debate about the importance of skin color. President Biden's decision to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline while approving a Russian pipeline reminds people of the gap between Trump's America First policy and what seems to be Biden's America Last policy. Increasing inflation is already worrying the American people. The gasoline shortages caused by the hacking of the Colonial Pipeline in Georgia brought an immediate reminder of President Jimmy Carter and his failures. The list goes on. The ideological prejudice of the National Democrats, coupled with their belief in a world that doesn't exist, will likely lead to a pragmatic performance failure of historic scale. Consider the left's rejection of every policing reform Mayor Rudy Giuliani and Police Chief Bill Bratton used in dramatically turning around crime in New York City in the 90s. The left wants to cut the police, impose greater legal risks on being a policeman, disparage the police publicly, support district attorneys who refuse to prosecute crimes, and establish no-bail systems where criminals are put back on the street as soon as they arrive at the police station. Then they are shocked that an anti-police, pro-criminal policy leads to historic rates of increased crime. Consider the impact of teachers' unions who fought going back to school for a year, regularly protect the most mediocre and incompetent teachers, try to impose radical values on students, even those in kindergarten and first grade, and dumb down courses when they fail to teach them. The result is too many students fail to learn and are weakened for life in terms of getting a job, being an informed citizen, and having a fair chance to rise. For these reasons alone, I am certain there will soon be a beyond Biden period. Is this book for you? All too often, we are told America is divided into red versus blue. I am a conservative, and I have cheerfully spent my entire career as a partisan. However, this book is written to convince you that America is much bigger than the red-blue, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal dichotomy.